Okay, so we end on a light one or fun one or try to, and this one isn't actually either light or fun. It's just bewildering to me. We, I hope I mean, well, I guess I'm out of it, and you're leaving the analyst business, so we don't care anymore. Because God forbid if anyone's tried to sell anything to Broadcom, because we are not very nice to them. But I think they deserve it. So the last article that we want to talk about today is from the Register, Hyoun's favorite, one of his favorite places.
Oh yeah.
Um, talking about Broadcom's response. If you haven't been following along or haven't been watching the show, of course, Broadcom acquired VMware and introduced new pricing and got people very upset about it. And there's all this sort of talk about where they're going to back off. And I think we now have the answer that they are most certainly not backing off and apparently being rewarded for it. So you want to cue it up here?
Yes. So Broadcom has obviously been raising prices, sometimes 5, 10, 15 times. But apparently, Broadcom's CEO, Hock Tan, said that this month that 87% of VMware's top 10,000 customers have signed up for VMware Cloud Foundation. So at the end of the day, the biggest customers, 87% of them ponied up and paid the price. And for those who complained that the price might be too much, their CTO basically said, well, maybe you should just use more of the VMware Cloud Foundation components, and then you'd get more value for what you paid for.
So,
Why didn't I just
I
think
mean, I
of that?
think there's two factors here. I think the first is that these largest companies, right? And in fairness, this was their play all along: go after their biggest companies and to sort of get that economy of scale with Broadcom. Um, these larger companies are the ones that are most likely to already be using multiple parts of the suite. So therefore, the bundling and whatever sort of makes more sense, and they can get the value out of it. I think the other factor is I've talked a long time. I've talked several times, I think, about the fact that I used to run these executive dinners with this bunch of CIOs, and I had this rule that there are two words we would never utter, and that was SAP and Oracle, because it would put us down this whole thing where everyone would complain about it. But the reality is they complained about it all the time, but they still did business. They never actually changed anything because the switching cost was so high. The pain and suffering was just not worth the return on it, and so it was sort of golden handcuffs where they just renewed every year,
Mhm.
and it didn't make any difference. And I think we're seeing the same thing here. I mean, I think we'll see some attrition, but I think that Broadcom made a wise, I guess, at least from your perspective, but a wise bet in that these customers were not going to be willing to go through the pain and suffering of switching. They'll just pay more and keep using it, and that's exactly what's happening. And so, from a pure financial standpoint, okay, but it's
Yeah.
the feeling if I was going to do a dinner again, I think I'd have to add Broadcom to my list of forbidden words.
Yeah. So one of the things I learned in my MBA pricing class is that when you're doing B2C, business to consumer pricing, you're always aiming for a smile. Like the customer should be happy with what you get. With B2B, you're going for just a flat face. Like you're not
Neutral.
really happy, you're not really sad. And I've always thought as Oracle as being the epitome of that with the Oracle database. But Broadcom might be coming into the lead right now with their expert pricing capabilities. And ironically, at a time when I think Oracle Cloud is actually quite flexible to work with, like you thought that somebody would out Oracle net. Mm.
Yeah, so I think that the difference is you want to smile in consumer. When it comes to business, you just want them not pissed off enough to be willing to change.
Yes.
And I think Broadcom is managing to just absolutely walk this razor's edge of getting right to that point and not going over it. And it's remarkable. And look I think Oracle, here's the deal with Oracle. I think Oracle came under pressure, right? I mean, Oracle is still a beast, but they, in a lot of their other spaces, they came under pretty severe pressure. And so they've had to sort of change their posture a bit. And I mean, and this, I guess, my real, all joking and incredulity aside, my real frustration here is at the end of the day, I'm an advocate of the technology space. I think the world is better that Oracle is in a competitive landscape and now is having to innovate and having to be customer facing and customer forward. And I think that's good. I think that when we have these monopolies and these technologies where it's just stagnated and the company doesn't have to do anything, it's bad for everything. It's bad for the industry. It's bad for the technology companies. It's bad for innovation. And so that's my real frustration with this, is that I'm the ultimate optimist when it comes to the power of this technology. And I want to have an environment in which we are collectively incented to make the best technology we can and to deliver results for it. And this sort of stuff just rubs me the wrong way because it's the opposite of that. But
True. Although it makes our lives difficult, well, especially your life right now, Charlie, in the software world, where you're competing against each other and bashing each other's brains in, that competition is better for the customer at the end of the day.
it is. It is.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate taking the knocks, and I hate being outmaneuvered if that were to happen. But at the end of the day, it's how we move forward, and it's how we progress, and it's we need to be out there. We need to be listening, and really, it's not, to me. It's rarely about the competition, but it is about the fact that our competition is in a race with us to shape the mind of our customers and to help guide them. And that causes the customers to be thinking critically about what their needs are and where they can go, and it puts pressure on us to innovate, to try to go to where they haven't thought of going yet, and transforming things for the better for them. So it's a challenge, but that's what makes it fun. That's why I'm in this business to begin with. That's why I fell in love with technology. And so I want to see that perpetuated, not stagnated.
There you go. Technology optimist, Charlie Araujo, right there.